be real, when it comes to stopping takedowns, Dricus Du Plessis is kind of all over the place. Sometimes he defends well, sometimes he basically takes himself down. But when he steps into the cage with Khamzat Chimaev, he's going to face something he's never dealt with before. Khamzat isn't just any wrestler, he's the best wrestler Dricus has ever gone up against by far. And here's the crazy part. Dricus has barely fought any real wrestlers in his whole career. Seriously, the only two you could call wrestlers are Brunson and Whittaker. That's it. And Whittaker, Khamzat smashed him in one round. So now, going from Brunson and Whittaker straight to Khamzat Chimaev, it's like jumping from the kiddie pool to the middle of the ocean during a storm. Khamzat is a chain wrestler. He's relentless, powerful, and his ground control is insane. If you let him get hold of you, you're either going to be choked out or stuck under him while he breaks your will. Let's talk about that first round. Khamzat's opening takedown, nobody has stopped it. Not Whittaker, not Kamaru Usman, not Kevin Holland or Li Jingliang. Even Gilbert Burns didn't see the same version of Khamzat. That version wasn't wrestling first. Against Dricus, make no mistake, Khamzat is going to shoot. And he's going to try to destroy every single fighter who's faced that first round. Khamzat's storm has either been submitted, been stuck defending a choke, rear naked chokes, face cranks, DRs, chokes, he's hit them all. So what can Dricus do? Can his strength and unorthodox style save him? Let's take a closer look. Against Brunson, the best wrestler Dricus has fought, he made some weird choices. He kept throwing kicks, even though that's like inviting a wrestler to take you down. And surprise, Brunson did, caught the kick, took Dricus down. Simple. Now once they were on the ground, Brunson just sat on top of him. Dricus tried to stand up, but he wasn't really paying attention to his posture or position. And Brunson, not the most refined guy, but still a veteran, took advantage. He got underhooks, tipped Dricus over and landed inside control. You could see it. Dricus was strong, but he looked off balance. That's a problem. Wrestling is about balance and control. If you don't have that, you're in trouble. But credit where it's due, Dricus is tough. He used his strength to explode from underneath. He literally bench pressed Brunson off him using a slick momentum move, got to half guard and eventually hip escaped his way out. That's something Dricus does often, shrimping into his opponent, getting an underhook, standing up. But here's the red flag. That movement, it leaves his neck exposed. Against someone like Khamzat, that's extremely dangerous. Khamzat would throw in a Diaz choke or a Brabo choke in a heartbeat, the same ones he used to tap Kevin Holland. Brunson, he went for a guillotine. Pulled guard and just fell to the ground, something Khamzat would never do. That move's outdated. Pulling guard with a guillotine is just asking to lose position. Khamzat, he would have kept it standing or wrapped up the neck while staying on top. In that same exact position, he would have locked up a dais and dragged Dricus down. That's the key difference. Khamzat never stops advancing. He's constantly working to improve his position, looking for chokes, raining down, ground and pound. Let's be honest, Brunson let Dricus off the hook so many times. There was one sequence where Dricus gave up his back. Brunson could have thrown both hooks in and gone for the choke. He didn't. Instead, he tried this flashy cradle roll, cool looking, but it didn't get him anywhere. Khamzat, he would have already had the back and started working for a finish. Brunson also didn't attack the neck when Dricus stood up. He didn't use hooks, didn't try ground and pound, didn't control him. He just let him up. You're not getting that kind of mercy from Khamzat. Then there was this awkward moment. Brunson rushed in with strikes and Dricus went for a counter takedown, but he didn't have the drive. He basically took himself down, ended up in full mount under Brunson. If that happens against Khamzat, the fight's over. Dricus had to give up his back again just to survive. And once again, Brunson didn't take advantage. He didn't throw in hooks. He didn't lock in the choke. He just held on. Khamzat would sink that choke in and finish it. Later, Dricus got to the fence, used his usual hip escape and underhook combo, stood up and even landed a nice elbow to break away. Good stuff. But that whole sequence, it showed how many openings Khamzat could exploit. There were these tiny details, little technical holes in Dricus's game that you can't afford to have when facing someone like Khamzat, like overextending a punch, getting off balance, or leaving a leg out while shrimping. Against Brunson, those things didn't cost him too much. But against Khamzat, They'll be the difference between surviving and getting mauled. There's even this crazy moment where Dricus throws a wild punch, gets off balance, but ends up with his elbow framing perfectly under Brunson's chin, totally by accident. That's pure plot armor. You can't count on luck against Khamzat. In part 2, we'll break down his fights with Darren Till and Robert Whittaker, both of which show more of Dricus's patterns, some good, some very dangerous against a beast like Khamzat. But here's the thing. Dricus is smart. He learns, he adapts. He fights with his heart, and he doesn't give up. That's his biggest strength. That's why this fight is so compelling, because even if the odds are against him, even if he's not the cleanest or most technical, he's a fighter. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. So in the fight with Darren Till, Dricus is on his back at one point. He pushes off the cage, scrambles, and somehow ends up in a decent position, even though Till had a guillotine locked in. Now, if that cage hadn't been there, that guillotine might have worked. But Dricus basically got saved by the fence. He kicks off, breaks the grip, and survives. You can't ignore the luck factor there. Till let him back up, probably because he's a striker and wanted no part of the grappling. That's another thing. Till, like many fighters Dricus face, doesn't have the same hunger to wrestle like Khamzat does. Khamzat lives for that. Then it happens again. Dricus throws another telegraphed kick, and just like before, it gets caught. Even though Till isn't a wrestler, he has that Muay Thai instinct. You throw a lazy kick, he grabs it and sweeps you. Once Till's on top, he lands some good ground and pound. Elbows, punches, the works. He even gets around to side control. But here comes Dricus' go-to move again. Shrimp into his opponent, attack a single leg, and try to stand up using it. And yes, it works against Till. But against Khamzat, that's not going to fly, because when Dricus only has one arm around one leg, that's not enough to stop a sprawl. A wrestler like Khamzat would sprawl on top, crush that attempt, and maybe even lock up a submission while doing it. Till doesn't do that. He focuses on damage, he's throwing strikes. That gives Dricus the tiny window he needs. He wraps both arms around one leg, gets up, body locks Till, and trips him to the ground. The round ends with Dricus on top. It's impressive. Dricus doesn't quit. He finds a way back into the fight. That's something you can't teach, that grit, but let's be honest. Till gave him space. Khamzat won. Now here's the real test. Robert Whittaker, former champ, excellent takedown defense, very explosive. They both throw a jab, and Whittaker slips right into a blast double leg. Dricus gets launched and lands right beside the fence. It's fast, it's clean, it's dangerous. Dricus tries to counter with a butterfly hook to flip Whittaker, but Rob immediately adjusts and lands in side control. Now this is where things get interesting. Dricus shows some pretty smart defense. He throws up a knee shield, gets double wrist control, and even plants a foot on the cage in case he needs to kick off again. He's layered in his defense. And that's actually really impressive. But here's the issue. Dricus eventually lets go of that defense and goes back to his signature move, shrimping into the opponent and rising with an underhook. And again, that move leaves his neck open. Whittaker doesn't go for it though. He tries to stay upright and keep control of Kinnard. He wouldn't just sit there. He'd wrap the legs, control the wrists, and ride Dricus like a wave. That's how Khabib and Islam do it. And Khamzat is from the same mold. It's not just about controlling the upper body. They entangle everything, from the neck to the legs to the wrists. Against that style, you can't just muscle your way up. We've now seen Dricus in 3 big fights: Brunson, Till, and Whittaker. He gets taken down, he makes some mistakes, but he also fights like a warrior. He never gives up, he keeps moving, keeps adjusting, and keeps surprising us. But let's be honest, none of those 3 opponents are on the same level as Khamzat Chimaev when it comes to grappling. Brunson was too wild and unrefined. Till didn't even try to wrestle. Whittaker took him down with one clean shot, but didn't press the control like Khamzat would. So when we ask, can Dricus stop Khamzat's takedowns, the honest answer is it's very unlikely. In his last 3 fights, Dricus didn't even have to defend a single takedown. So this matchup against Khamzat's relentless pressure is going to be a whole new world. And the scariest part? The middleweight division isn't used to guys like Khamzat. That chain wrestling, Russian style, pressure-heavy grappling broke the lightweight division wide open when Khabib came. Now it's coming to middleweight, and no one looks ready for it. Only 2 middleweights have felt it so far. John Phillips, who got absolutely mauled, Robert Whittaker, who got crushed in one round. Just like Khabib forced lightweights to evolve, Khamzat might force the middleweights to level up too. Even a short-notice Kamaru Usman from welterweight looked better than many ranked middleweights when he fought Khamzat. That's how wide the gap is. Now, don't get it twisted. Dricus has heart. He's strong. He's unpredictable. And somehow he keeps finding ways to win. But the question is, will that be enough against the most dangerous wrestler he's ever faced? That's the real mystery. We'll find out soon enough.